to that. I don't think I have the negative thing that you said. Like I don't think like I just post whatever the fuck I want to post. And so like in that sense, I think I'm a good influencer, quote unquote, because like I just don't care. I really don't. Like if it's me and Dan fucking around on my couch, I'm gonna post that. Like I just don't overthink, which is good. But then I also don't, which is good for my mental health maybe, but maybe not good for the game. I'm not good at the game. I don't want to play the game though.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to.
I'm for sure not good at the game.
Yeah.
But like, okay, so I enjoyed traction on Twitter more than I enjoyed traction on Instagram.
Yeah.
By a good bit.
Twitter, I'm not very good at, quote unquote, either, but it's one of my favorite platforms.
And just as kind of on the down low, not all of my Twitter interaction is as me. And it often does so much better when it's not as me, totally unrecognizable. Yeah. So sort of any influencer component, you know, of my tiny little Twitter following is shot to hell, because primarily what I do is just respond to other people.
Right.
And then,
which I like though. That's what I like about Twitter, is like silly banter, memes. It can be serious too, but like real conversation. Yeah, it's like a real conversation back and forth, where even if you do it in the comments on Instagram, and not that Twitter can't be toxic. Twitter can 100% be toxic.
Very toxic.
Yeah, but Instagram's just like, Instagram and YouTube, I feel like it's like 12-year-old toxic. Where like on Twitter, it can be toxic for sure, but at least there's some like moderate talk. Not the toxicity level is the same, but like I don't know, it just feels different. Like it's not like my dad's stronger than your dad. Like that's what you end up with on fucking YouTube. You don't end up with that on Twitter. Like people are closed-minded, sure, but that's just humans. Like you'll find that. I don't know.
My favorite commenters are definitely not ones historically. Ones on YouTube. We don't get a ton of comments at this point on the podcast videos.
Yeah,
but.
Yeah, we are on YouTube if you guys want to check it out and see our fat faces. But something you said too is like I have zero issues if my companies, our companies, the other companies I'm involved with 100% outgrew my personal socials. I would delete my shit overnight.
I think that's a lot of people, yeah.
I don't know, though. I think...
You could be wrong.
I think a lot of folks are addicted to their voice. They're addicted to that.
Maybe. Actually, something that I'm kind of dealing with right now is that I have made the decision to repurpose my own YouTube as the gym's YouTube, because there's, I mean, the majority of content on there is podcasts and lifting and that, you know, and not other than just being on you know, the old podcast and this podcast or whatever. It hasn't very much been centered on me ever.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't
you're
be
always
that
behind
big,
the camera.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So it shouldn't be that hard a thing to do. But like I started that thing in 2006. Yeah. 2006,
Yeah.
and that's a long time to ride along with something. And then what I figured that I'm probably going to have to just create a new one that's just me, so that I can comment on other people's stuff, because I don't want to go in and comment as the gym. And if you switch, this is behind the scenes YouTube stuff, if you switch to a brand account, it wipes out every personal comment you ever made on anybody's video.
I didn't know that. That's something I've just never been good at. And like social media is cool when you're social.
Yeah.
I've made a lot of cool friends, right? Bart, Omar, all these guys are my really good friends because of social media, because we've interacted that way. YouTube, a lot of platforms, because I never really watch them. On the Twitch world and other places, it's called lurking.
Yeah.
Like I'm a lurker. YouTube,
Yeah.
I never even lurked. But like Twitch or something, I'll watch a lot of people, never do anything. Instagram, I'll comment here and there. I'll try to make a joke, or, you know. I like stuff to support.
I don't comment as much as I should on Instagram, honestly.
That's part of the game, though.
It is part. It's total 100% part of the game, and it's. I can't always think of something clever to say. If I can't say something clever, then I probably don't say much of anything at all, unless somebody, you know. This is another phenomenon that I don't really know how to deal with, and I really wish I could figure out how to tap into the zeitgeist of it, because I think that there's definitely something there, and that's the sad social media post. People share like that they're depressed, and this is
yeah.
this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so
Yeah.
it's a good time to tell people you're depressed on social media, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm not minimizing it at all. I'm just telling you that I'm seeing a lot
I'll
of it.
minimize it for you afterwards. Continue.
Or when people say they're getting a divorce, or that they lost a child, or
Yeah.
they have a family member in the hospital. There's been a crap ton of that in the last year with COVID and whatever, and like I'm kind of a sucker for those.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of a sucker for reading them and reading the comments and see who responds and whatever. But I'm friends with a lot of people on Facebook, because in the beginning everybody just friended everybody. So I never have had 5,000, but I've always, for a very long time, had over 4,000. That's a lot of people to keep track of, and their sad stuff will pop up in my feed.
Yeah.
And I'll get interested in like, well, what the hell, what happens after, whatever. And there's like, how do you ever follow that up? Because you don't necessarily remember the person's name, and
Sure.
you got to look for it. And there's some just very sad stories, and people feel that some kind of relief about sharing it, and I kind of, to a certain extent, I kind of get it, because one of the hardest things about going through some big upheaval in your life is having to tell the story 1,000 times.
Right. I think I struggle. I like to think, and obviously it's easy for me to say. It's much more validating if others people say it about me that I'm empathetic. I like to think I am, but I'm not on the internet. And I think because I've like grown up in this in a way where I went through a lot of dark shit, 18 to 25, and we all go through dark shit, but that was like a dark time, and the internet, that's when social media stuff was going. Facebook might be different because Facebook started so interpersonal. It wasn't, although it's quote-unquote a social media, it was like, you're not just adding people, you know them, or there's very connected dots. Or on Instagram, there's no dots, right? And so Facebook telling your story might be a little different because you probably do have your grandma and your aunt and your sister and your cousin on there, so you're updating or communicating, right? It feels more close knit. Where for me, I just see so much of it. I'm like, damn, virtue signaling. And who am I to judge, right? Like I'm a fucking.
I think some of it is, but I don't think all of it is.
No, that's Facebook. No, for sure, not all of it. But I'm just so. Like, I don't know. And maybe also because I'm closed in on my personal stuff, like I'm just not that guy. Like if I'm telling a story, like you just mentioned Mental Health Month, I'm telling a story for like a purpose, whether it's like educational, for intent, and hopefully I come across that way, but other people may call me a virtue signaler as well, right? Like if I talk about anxiety or going to therapy or whatever, or passing of loved ones, like I get it. It's hard to judge that, right? Because we can never truly judge one's intentions from the outside. I just struggle with that line personally. And I'm an open book. I share what I can. I share what I think is useful. And it does come all to the intent of the creator. But for me, when it's just so much, like every week, every month, I'm like, come on, man. Like what's your real intent here? Is it just to get pats on the back? Or are you really trying to convey a message to help people seek help, seek this, be happier, settle some anxiety or whatever? And then what are you doing in your day-to-day interactions, personal life, to actually help that?
Yeah.
And again, like I can toot my horn all day and this and that, and I try to be there for people, and Jim knows some people in our lives that we may be there for in other situations. But I think like that's what impact are you really having? Me going on my Instagram story and telling you I'm sad, talk to a therapy or whatever, it just doesn't feel genuine if you're not doing that in your day-to-day steps, I guess. And that's for everything, right? That's the same with fitness. People doing the same thing, like I work out all day, and then they're fucking shoving their face full of pizza, addicted to opioids, and you know what I mean? Like, well, then you're not genuine either, and that's obviously a thing.
Yeah. I think that maybe one of the bigger mind-blowing things is when you find out that like somebody that appeared to be in a really solid relationship, suddenly they're getting a divorce. That'll blow you up. Or one where somebody seems to be in a relatively good place in their life, and you realize that like they have a serious drug or alcohol problem that they've been masking all along, and I mean, not that you would necessarily be putting the depths of that on social media, but like somebody turn around and say, hey, like I know I have a problem with whatever, and like I just have seen a lot of it lately. I don't know.
That's
a couple of people that I wouldn't say like not necessarily close friends, but people I'm friendly with,
Sure.
whatever. Announce one announcing a divorce in the last week. One I find out that there's clearly been a divorce I didn't know about. I haven't talked to this person in a while. It's like,
it is hard because
okay.
then like those situations which are real.
Yeah.
And everyone, many of us struggle with at some point or another. I can also see why they would put their. It's just social media makes everything so complicated. I can see why they put their best foot forward.
Right.
Right? Because otherwise, then they do just turn into like a whiny bitch on the internet. My divorce, my this, my that.
Yeah.
Or do you put your best foot forward for yourself and for your audience? And not talk about that every single day, even though that's probably what's on your mind every single day. You know, I see both sides. And to some, that may be called fake, quote unquote, right? Like, oh, well, this person's so sad. They're an alcoholic and they're getting divorced and this and their dad died. And well, yeah, they probably are very sad. But do you want them just to mope? Or like, you know what I mean? It gets so foggy on what to do as a quote unquote content creator when you're not in a great place.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, a lot of people are just regular people who are not content creators, and they just happen to be on social media, and they're
right.
They're spilling this stuff, and you're like, ugh.
That part's
wow.
I think it is very different because the audience you assume is more close knit. Right. If you have 400 followers, if you have 400 followers on Instagram, you probably hugged them all.
Yeah. Or
right.
You might be able to pick them out of a crowd.
No, for sure. Right.
Yeah. Whereas the situation that.
Yeah.
Even my not very large social media,
there's just no way.
It's confusing.
Even who I follow.
Yeah.
That used to be like kind of a rule of mine, and it was probably just a pretentious, egotistical rule. Maybe not, but I just thought, like, I'm just going to follow people I actually know. Like, if I met you at an expo and we had at least 3-minute convo semi-connected, then, you know, we follow each other. Now it's a little bit different just because I haven't seen a human in 3 years, or it feels like. So now I just follow whatever. But it is such a conundrum of... Because I think there is a responsibility when you get a platform.
Yeah.
And what that responsibility is has gotten really hairy too, as politics and all these things have taken over in the world. But I do think you at least owe it to yourself to write your own moral code. And I'm not here to tell you what that is or what that isn't, but you should have something. Just as I think you should have one in life. You should have some kind of code in life that, you know, whether that's your secret to life or your mission to life or your fulfillment or what it is. And that should also be a rule. Like, I think, you know, we have general rules when you're in public, how you should act, how you should treat someone nicely, how you should, you know. I think you should also have your own for your life, relationship, business. Business is a big one. I think people just hop into business or popularity and they don't think about these things. So they'll just, you know, and that's how you turn into a quote unquote sellout because you never built this code of what matters to you and how you want to make money. And if your code has none of that, I don't want to be friends with you, but by all means, do you, right? Like, I'm not here to judge, but I just think having a lack of code, and the same thing with if your social media blows up, you should have a reason why you should share things or don't share things. And I can't, you know, I'm not the judge or the jury, but I think it's important for your own inner self to kind of have that. Mm-hmm. And maybe mine's been too strict or whatever, and mine's changed and everyone's changed, but you do it for 12 years and I've built up a pretty good code of what I'll share and what I won't share, or what I'll say and what I won't say. Even little ones, like in this one, maybe I'm more strict on. Someone asks me about back pain, I say, go to a doctor. Right? Like little stuff like that. But then it scales down. If someone asks me about a clean and jerk, I say, I don't do that much. Go somewhere else. Yeah. Right? Like, that's my code, where, again, other people's codes are different.
Yeah. That's a fair point. Kind of going back to what I was saying before about just wanting to task it off to somebody else. The social media of the businesses. I listened to a book that our friend Dean, who was here with us last week, recommended, called "Who Not How," and I feel strongly about usually about business improvement kind of books where there is a pay-to-play component that's built around it. But every once in a while you get one that actually you can implement things from without having to get deep into their system. You don't have to buy anything more than the book, and you can get the book in a library, and you're good to go.
The other issue with that too, on that same note, is that business is such just a broad thing.
Yeah.
Right. How much money you have, how you're trying to scale, the industry you're in. So some books say all this stuff that just doesn't apply.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like, yeah, it'd be great to delegate everything, but like, where's that money coming from?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like not necessarily a startup or,
Yeah,
we're not a tech company that has $3 million
absolutely.
behind us.
And this book had, if there was one thing that really drove me crazy about it, I'm not going to remember the name of the author because that's another story. But I am super annoyed by the business startup world and the expression 10x. I 10x'd this and I 10x'd that. It's like you probably didn't, and you're probably not going to, and let's be realistic, for just a minute.
Yeah.
But can you improve stuff? Absolutely.
Sure.
You know, and most people who are in business are pretty enthusiastic about 2x.
Right.
Or 1.5x.
Yeah.
You know,
a win.
A win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard.
All that's more reasonable. I think that this ear thingy is going off on me. Anyway, oh yeah, it definitely is. There's something going on with it. Anyway, I have to switch to headphones. What was I saying? Oh, but the idea that the best person to do the job should be the best person, which is the best person for you to have do the job. And at the beginning stages, it's obviously more of a problem,
right?
Because you don't have the money for it. But eventually, you get to the point where, I'm really not making the best use of my time, and I'm not contributing the best to the business this way, and somebody else could do it better. And I'm kind of living in that place. We're not 100% there from a financial standpoint, but like we're getting there, and I just can't possibly wait because it means I'll be able to spend less time thinking about social media, honestly.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm no business guru by any means, but I've had my hand in a couple things that did okay. And like people talk about like training being for life and like learn how to train and that be for life. And I don't think most people actually draw those lines, but for me, it's super clear. Like, why do we squat, bench, dead? Most bang for your buck. Yeah. So what do I do in my business? Like, what makes the most money? What's the priority right now? And I think about it that same thing. What are like the top 3 to 5 things that are bringing in money or that I need to do to bring in money or optimize situations to bring in money? And then you have your accessories and then you have your isolations, and it just a trickle down effect. And so like, yeah, like social media is kind of one of them. Like, you kind of have to have it. And the best social media marketer, or like maybe not even social media marketer is probably not a good term, the best Instagram poster in the world versus the worst Instagram poster, that gap isn't that crazy compared to, I don't know, a content creator or something, or another topic, right? Like, or even like a general marketer or production or whatever it might be. And so to delegate those, that's kind of like your accessories. That's kind of like me and you just skipping biceps one day. Yeah. Me and Jim are going to go do pull-ups. We're not going to do biceps today. We'll probably get enough stimulus in our arms. Yeah. Right. That's kind of how it is to me. And so same idea is like when you delegate too, what not only free up to make me happy, free up that I'm good at, but then free up the priorities. You know, you just kind of throw these, not low-hanging fruits, because they are important for a lot of businesses and they help and they're needed. But how can I look big picture? And that's obviously like the general pyramid kind of ideas. Like, how do you oversee multiple things that are kind of like one task oriented rather than zooming one big picture?
Yeah. In the case of this book, like the guy who came up with the concept has a whole like inner circle style system, seminars and all that kind of stuff around it. And the guy who actually wrote the book is a psychologist who just happened to think the system was really good. Yeah. And then it took yet another person who was deep into the publishing industry to help them pull it all together. And the guy who came up with the concept had actually minimal input to the book, even though he's listed as an author because it was his idea.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like a movie situation where, you know, story by but teleplay by whatever.
Right.
It can be radically different, and I don't necessarily think it's radically different. And
Right.
I listened to the audiobook, and so the original guy gets interviewed at the end of each one. It did drive me insane though, because clearly they were all recorded at the same time. And dude is like on the microphone,
Yikes.
like, oh my God.
Just
It's noisy the whole time. Like, I would not have released it like that. I would have made him stop.
Yeah, or redo it.
Redo it.
Yeah, I wonder why.
I don't know.
I guess maybe it's one of those situations too where like budget maybe, time in the studio, and then they don't think the book's going to do well, and then obviously it does well, and then you have all these shitty mistakes inside. I don't know. Same with like podcasts, right? Like there's some podcasts that probably get shit tons of downloads with really crappy equipment because they just started and they're just good.
Yeah, now that everyone has a podcast.
Even though the opposite is probably true. There's probably a bunch of podcasts with 0 downloads and really nice equipment.
Potentially, yeah. People get, people fetishize the equipment
Right.
in podcasting.
Right. Or they have the budget.
Yeah, with the same way they do than anything else.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, I'm going to be a power lifter. I just spent $1,000 on
everything.
you know,
Shoes, belt.
T-shirts, deadlift socks,
everything.
I'm kind of raised heel shoes.
Yeah, I'm kind of lucky that wasn't a thing.
Yeah,
like I bought Nike shoes when I first started lifting. That was kind of expensive, $150, $200. I bought Tommy Kono sleeves. There's no one wore sleeves in 2010.
Yeah,
I bought Tommy Kono sleeves that were there was no raw,
right.
Single ply multi. Bought some sleeves for $30. Bought Elite FTS belt for $50. Kind of in the game.
I still have the same belt that I bought in 2004.
I just like lost belts, so I had to buy new ones.
2005.
That's pretty good. Mine's probably 5 years old now, but I just lost belts along the way. Yeah, but I mean that's the same with everything. That's like the first advice for like YouTube. Even though the landscape has changed,
entirely in a way that I can't quite figure out. People ask me questions. I'm like, well, I don't know.
But like lifting and content, maybe you do need good shit now. There's not a lot of like YouTube guys that get by with crap shit. There's budget-ish cameras that work well. Your little Canon, my little Sony. Those aren't too expensive. They're kind of point and shoot, but yeah, maybe you do need it. Where back in the day you didn't. Like there's big-time vloggers getting hundreds of thousands of views on a cell phone. But that's probably just not the thing anymore. Shit evolves, and I'm the old guy.
Yeah, I kind of believe that. If anybody's actually sort of paying attention to our sequence, we are out of sequence. We're doing something of a Q&A episode today because we're trying to put together an episode with a couple of guests, one of which is definitely not someone who's ever appeared on a fitness podcast before, ever. And it's kind of a big get, but like we're trying to work out the technology of it. A name you would recognize, not in the industry, and someone in conjunction with Mental Health Awareness Month. We do
another movie.
And then another movie, yeah, because we're enjoying those more than we enjoy anything else that we do right now, and so like lean in. I agree. That's the answer. Lean in.
Like Q&As and stuff are fine, and I like to help people, but another issue with social media is that you obviously the response like curve and the depth of the connection isn't there.
Yeah,
and so like. I like doing Q&As in my brain because it's content that's just there, and to me, I'm helping people. Right? You know what I mean? Like I remember back in the day, I'm a lurker on most things, but like 2012, I tweeted Lane, and I was like, "Hey man, what's up with like squat shoes, really?" Because it like. Mm-hmm. At that time, it's like, you have to have squat shoes or no, you don't have to have squat shoes, right? And multiply was still kind of the big thing, and so, like, no one lifted in squat shoes.
No.
So then, you die. But, I mean, I'm sure somebody did it, but, and so I asked, like, do I need squat shoes? He's like, they're a really, really good tool. And I was like, oh, shit, and, like, that felt really good to get an answer from a guy who I read on bodybuilding.com, you know? And so I feel Q&As give value, but maybe the world doesn't. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I enjoy these episodes because, again, I think we can help answer some questions, but maybe people aren't entertained.
It's kind of the most interactive that we get. I wish that, honestly, I would do, like, if we were having a high level of interaction with people all the time, I would do a couple of extra episodes a month
Q&As.
that were, live interaction stuff on whatever platform. We have the ability to do those things. If we're going to do them and people are only gonna consume our stuff, as they say now, asynchronously, then it's not worth it.
Yeah, and it's hard. We talked about it back in the day on different podcasts, and I recently watched a live Twitch stream with the Mo podcast, the local sports group.
Oh yeah.
And they were doing a live Twitch stream, and they would drag people in audio wise on Discord, and I love that idea. And then I'm sitting there and I'm just like, but there's a reason why radio stations have someone screening those calls. And when you do it on your own,
it's a minefield.
Yeah, like what people are going to say, you don't know. And then like how they interact sucks, and it gets awkward. And I'm kind of sitting there feeling, even as a viewer, I'm like, this kind of feels weird. And, there's a disconnect in humor, or there's a disconnect in the conversation. And it just kind of feels combative a lot of the times. Where on radio, it doesn't feel that way, probably because they've been mini interviewed before they got on there.
Slightly, yeah.
Yeah, and so then the producer gets an idea of what's going on. Like that idea sounds cool too, to live chat with people, but how realistic is it? Probably not going to happen. Sorry, folks.
A thing that I was thinking about yesterday, looking on Twitter, and I guess Instagram would be the same thing, is how come there are no filters you can apply so that you can see either posts or people or a combination of the two that are local to you?
I guess geotag hashtag would be their answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would think there would be like a mini map. If you guys have been on like I don't know why the two websites I probably go to most are like Zillow, like a house selling one, and then like a dog adoption one. And both of those have the mini map that you can scroll in and out, and then it'll show you everything for adoption or everything for sale within that mini map.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you be able to do that? A mini map on Twitter, like, hey, I want to see all tweets within this 5-mile radius.
Yeah, I honestly, I think that if social media is going to continue to work going forward, it has to have something like that.
Yeah,
because
it's obviously available because every other type of industry has it.
Because it has to be more valuable,
right,
for everybody.
If you're looking,
not everybody is trying to sell something nationwide. Not everybody is trying to deal with an issue that's nationwide. I mean,
Yelp does it. Does Yelp do a map deal?
Ish, yeah. But that's
We just need a map-ish on Instagram and a map-ish. And then you could like filter by like time. Like I want to see 5 miles from the capital of California, and I want to see posts in the last hour, or I want to see posts in the last day, or I want to see posts all time most popular. Yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot of like filters like that because I guess I don't know. I think maybe it goes back to people just consuming things so quick that it's already late, so people don't even like search on Instagram. They're just in their feed, but discoverability on Instagram is becoming a not good. And that's what killed Snapchat. That's like the main argument on Twitch. And I heard some random dude ranting on one of the platforms I was on, Instagram, TikTok, somewhere, where he thinks Twitch is going to die too because of that factor. Where it's so big and it's so popular now, but discoverability sucks for new creators and new users. You don't know where to start.
And becoming a partner is almost impossible at this point.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really, really hard. And so, I mean, and Instagram's already kind of gone through that. Like, you can go viral for sure, but like taking away the discovery page on there, you can't really just find new random cool shit. Yeah, it's hard to do.
Yeah, they are a victim of their own success, I guess.
Yeah, Twitter you kind of can because of the retweet factor, even though Twitter's just kind of set up different. There should almost be like obviously there's a like, and we know when you interact more on Instagram, that post is more likely to be shown to more of their followers. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there should almost be, and you can kind of like quote unquote retweet in your story. You could post someone's shit, but I almost feel like there should be like a bump or a boost factor on a post. Like and obviously their boost factor is money. Yeah. that's where it all comes down to.
I mean, I know that like trending on Twitter, it has a local component to it, but you can't like search for that.
No, but it's still even better than what Instagram's doing. And same with YouTube. Like YouTube trending is obviously just the big dogs, but and Twitch talked about like trying to do one where they said like they would do like a mini new streamer-ish area, and I know podcasts try to do that, but discoverability in podcasts are really, really fucking hard too.
Yeah, it just gets worse all the time.
Yeah, and that's kind of all these platforms, and I guess that's a little bit nature of the competitiveness, but you think there would be some kind of way to kind of do that. for anyone, right? For obviously, we're personally would love it too, because then we get more discoverability. But any creator or just cool shit, like cool stories, cool things, deserve to kind of be shown, and they're hard.
Yep.
They get lost. They get lost in the mix.
Yeah.
Because there's so much content. Everyone's just shoving content into the universe.
Into the hole.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that's kind of another reason where, like, I just don't need my name out there. If my companies can rock on their own eventually, like, they just can't right now, but I would love to step aside. I don't need it to be Mike. Mike. I like podcasting. So it's conversation, but that's not the same. I don't need it to be Mike.
So, there isn't any scenario in which I would put either one of our names in the title of our business ever on any platform. If it sounds like I'm throwing shade, I totally am.
Me and Omar,
it's ridiculous. That's entirely just that's. Oh.
I mean, a lot of people do it. You know, even like car dealers locally and stuff. Most of them are people's names and shit. And I get like the family aspect or something, but I would just never do it. Me and Omar put our faces the front of Mama's Boys podcast, our old podcast, but it was like a cartoon version. I just thought it looked cool. Yeah, you know what I mean. I wasn't gonna sell. I'm not selling my face. I'm not a model. Like, literally selling your face, to me, makes you think that you're a model. I'm not a model. Yeah. I take pictures in our clothing because we have no models and because I designed it and because we're the owners. Yeah. Not because I love taking pictures of myself. Right. Yeah. And I need shit to post on my stupid Instagram, which I also don't want to do. You know what I mean? I do it because I have to do it. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I hate it. I never listen to these podcasts. Our podcast went out. Shout out to the boys at Bridge to Bridge. There's your fucking shout out, boys. Their podcast with us went live, and Mike, Dan's brothers, texted me and he said, "Yeah, man, listen to it. It was really good." I'm like, I'm not fucking listening to myself. Yeah. What do you think I'm gonna take? I'm not taking 2 hours of my day to sit down and listen to myself talk.
I have to listen to these.
Yeah, that's your job.
But that's my job.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
The moment I don't have to do that is the moment I'll not be doing it.
There's no chance I'm going to listen to my damn self. And that's another reason I haven't even put out a YouTube video, because I don't want to edit it myself. Like, I do not want to see myself talk. I can see myself lift. Yeah. Or play sports. But that's not a YouTube video. It's not just me lifting. I got to talk or I got to do something. Right. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, me too. I will get back to for a while shooting some video and putting it up, but my intention is to create a situation where I'm just managing it and not actually doing it. Yeah, behind the scene. Yeah, producing. Yeah, literally producing instead of just actually like running the thing. We had some questions, but they're online. But I feel like we've answered these questions in the past. If you we could rapid fire them if you want.
Yeah, I don't think you really want to.
All right, then we won't. Screw you, kids.
Literally we have covered all this stuff in the last Q&A, definitely. So I don't really want to repeat ourselves, but is the video of the introduction of the team still available? And I don't even know what that is, but I will tell you that currently the team is 3 people, plus my son comes in for photography and runs video for this, and then that's the team. That runs 3SB, Third Street Barbell right now. Yeah. There is a point at which there will be more people. Yeah. And that's probably come relatively soon, which sort of fits into the other sort of question, which was, how's the gym going? I think we answered that last time.
People ask that a lot, and I don't know what to say. And again, I'm an overthinker by diagnosis from a doctor. But, like, I don't know what, I don't want to say, like, because then we go in this conundrum. I was talking to a good friend. Maybe this is up your alley, Jimbo. So there's all these, like, psychoanalyses in life, and then there's therapy, and then there's these life coaches, and there's these books, and I like to believe that stuff. I like to believe in a more realistic sense you can manifest your life. Not that I think of an apple appears in my hand, but if I think of an apple enough that one day I'm going to either buy an apple tree or I'm going to end up to the grocery store and buy a fucking apple, right? Yeah. And that can scale up to millions of dollars, and that can scale down to the level of your life, and that can scale to the car you want to get, right? The more you focus on it, the more hopefully you take those steps to lead you to that goal. Right. Manifestation. I love that. And I believe it. And some people believe it metaphysically. You know, like, I don't know if I'm there yet. I'd like to be there. Maybe I will find enlightenment. But then the opposite. Like, some people say, like, that's just unrealistic. Focus on one task in front of you and more realistic goals, and maybe one day you can buy that Porsche. All right, I can get down with that too. From fuck, I don't know where I was going. Oh, the gym. And so but then the ego hops in, right? So someone says, "How's your gym doing?" And the gym is doing well.
We're doing pretty well.
Right. But then what do I say? Yeah, and then I like to spread positivity too, but then it goes back to being fake. Like, yeah, man, we're doing fucking fantastic. Like, I'm not going to say that when someone asks how my business is doing.
No.
But then I also don't want to be like ultra realistic and like give them numbers or like, yeah, well, we're here, and analyze it. And then I also don't want to be like, yeah, it's doing fine. Because then fine sounds negative. We're doing more than fine, truthfully, realistically, and my manifestation. Yeah. But then what part is my manifesting just becoming unrealistic that I'm fucking insane and I'm just talking out my ass like we're fucking crushing it? Even though I do wake up and I think and I talk that way to myself, and I do believe in affirmations like that for sure. Mm-hmm. But then how? Because everyone asks. I've gotten that 5 times in the last 2 days.
I'm sure you have. Yeah, no, I get it all the time too.
And I just say like, yeah, we're doing good.
I think
is that the answer? But then and then when I'm fucking crushing it, I want to tell people, but I'll probably be like, yeah, we're doing good. I'll probably answer the same. Even if we're going bankrupt right now, I'd probably be like, yeah, we're doing fine. Like I'm probably going to give you the same vanilla answer, but then I feel fake. But it's not that I'm trying to be fake or hide anything. It's that the overthinking of me is extremes. So I'm either going to tell you ultra realistic negative Mike, or I'm going to tell you that we're fucking crushing it. So instead, I just choose the average, I think, or the median.
Yeah, I will put it this way: as a not corporate job thing that I've been involved in marketing, this one so far has already been more successful. And I don't necessarily mean successful as in money in our pockets, but revenue generated and in paying its bills. And
the money in our pockets is a complicated thing with COVID and as big of a project we took. Money's a complicated thing when you start a brick and mortar company. That's what made me look around just everywhere I drive. Like, how does this motherfucker pay his bills? I look at these stores. I'm like, well, how are they been here for 20 years?
Yeah. And the people who don't make it,
Yeah, for sure, tons.
Yeah, that reminds me of another story that I'll tell you off the air, but just something I was exposed to this week. It's like, oh wow, okay. Where was I going? Oh, so yeah, I'm proud of what we've accomplished so far. That's a pretty strong statement.
Yeah.
I am if somebody asks me how something is, I'll say it doesn't suck, and that to me that's a kind of a compliment.
Yeah, it's as good as it gets.
That's kind of as good as it gets. I don't get that excited about that many things.
I don't either. That's another issue. Yeah.
Ever. So I think that's both of us. So it's going well. And somebody said, do we have big plans for the rest of the year? Well, we're trying to get a grand opening kind of thing. Yeah. That's sort of stymied by the fact that we thought there'd be more people in town for World's Strongest Man spectating, and that's not going to happen. They're not having spectators. And, we still haven't locked this down, but as soon as we do, it'll be on everything.
Yeah,
and
maybe June 20th. Half lockdown, folks.
Lockdown June 20th. Lockdown will be another issue that would be a problem.
Don't lockdown, unlock June 20th.
Yeah, and then there's the
Unlock Block Party. That's not a bad name.
There we go. And then there's the whole, we don't know, what the state of California is going to decide from moment to moment. CDC says one thing, California says another. I don't know. I could go on and on, but there's no point.
Yeah, someone also asked, I guess we could cover this here too. This would be a good, you'll probably be able to answer it better than me. What was the easiest thing with opening these businesses?
Oh, criminy.
Because everyone always asks what the hardest or what's like a, I think we even answered on another Q&A, like what was an unexpected difficulty or unexpected bump. And I'm like, well, everything's got a fucking hiccup in it when you dig into it. Like I was even just trying to pay like my tax extension. There's fucking 20 hiccups of recover my password. Like there's a hiccup in everything you do in life, right? Like it's fucking so insane. My mom, my poor mother, I told her, we just passed TV shows back and forth. We don't really have similar tastes, but we try to fill each other out. And sometimes we'll hit the head on one of them, like Sons of Anarchy. I liked it, and I think it's up her alley pretty good. And so I was like, Mom, you should go watch Sons of Anarchy. I wish I could watch it. She said, well, why can't you watch it? I said, I ain't got Hulu. She's like, I got Hulu. I said, I know, but to you finding your password and get it to me is going to be just a fucking... I said, don't even try. She texted me 45 minutes later. She's like, Hulu blocked me 20 times. I can't get my password. I can't reset. I was like, I know. That's why I told you just not to fucking... They make getting your Hulu password like you're fucking applying to go to Mars. Like, it's so difficult. I'm like, just don't even fuck with it. I'm better off just paying the $10 a month than you trying to recover your password. That was 45 minutes of work. That's $10 a month worth of work just to get your password. It's fucking sucks.
This is why I use a password manager.
Yeah, I like security. I like it.
I would not remember these things. But at the same time, I have Google telling me that I have 140 passwords that are identical or something like that. It's
Fuck
like,
them. Steal my
that.
identity, dude. I fucking dare you. Take my debt. I don't fuck you.
probably 90% of them are sites I don't even go to anymore.
Yeah.
So, like, what would I do about that?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. Easiest thing we've done. Or easiest. I
don't know.
I had a bullshit answer.
Go with your bullshit answer while I vamp while I think.
My bullshit answer is on Instagram. As I said, like, nothing in opening a business is easy. Not a single thing. Like, even applying for your tax number can be kind of annoying, because then you're like, well, do I need a state? Do I need a city? Do I need a sellers? What do I need? Like, everything that seems like, oh, you just go to the website and apply, isn't easy. I said the easiest thing for me is that, although I am probably the laziest person on the planet, that, like, I'm just good at showing up and doing. And for me, showing up is, I said, everyone listening right now on my Instagram, all of you are more skilled than me. All of you are way smarter than me. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. I'm an average fucking Joe. I'm a little creative, but you're fucking smarter than me. Everyone listening to this podcast probably has a skill that's beyond my best skill. But I can show up and do. And I can show up and do again. And I can show up and do it fucking again. And I can show up for 365 days and just fucking do. And that, to me at least, is the difference between a successful business and a not. Or being a business owner and a not. Some people just can't show up. They can't show up for themselves. They can't show up for their teammates. They can't show up for shit they don't want to do. They can't show up, right? Like, looking back, hindsight, building this fucking place was awesome. In the middle of it, I didn't want to fucking be in a 110-degree tin box ripping out 1,000 screws from these metal posts.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to do that. But I drove here, 10 o'clock, like, I showed up. And so for me, that is easy. And I don't know if it's a basketball background or my dad telling me, like, I didn't cuss much as a kid, but, like, my mom get mad, I say bitch or fuck or something, they throw soap in my mouth. But if I said can't around my dad, he wouldn't, like, do the joke like, that word's not allowed. Like, he would get furious that I said that word. Like, like, you didn't want to see my dad mad either. Like, the whole world would fucking shake. He's that little emote, the red emote. That's my dad's face. And so, yeah, like, the can't or don't show up or don't do or don't give your best. And that sounds so cliche, but that was so drilled into me. I just fucking did it. And do I do my absolute best and everything? Probably not. I'm sure there's some screw I fucking missed or bullshit kicked back in or something, right? Like, I'm not perfection, but show up, do was easy for me. But I think that's probably the hardest part for some other folks.
That could be true. I think that maybe the easiest thing, as far as I'm concerned, was conceptualizing the whole thing. And the hardest thing is realizing it.
Conceptualizing was probably one of the most fun, I would say. I would agree, too. So, obviously, when you're having fun, it tends to be easy. Because I think we're all kind of, at least in the same goalpost. Yeah. And I think we ended up kind of where we all wanted to be, which was fun and easy. And that I've done many projects with many folks, and that's not fun. Because everyone's got their own ideas, or some people just say, like, I don't have an idea. I'm like, all right. Or, like, they don't have an idea, but they don't like my idea, or whatever. Where we never really bumped that road. No. Which was good. And I think we're all happy with it.
No, I think so, too. I think that the issue is just communicating, like, getting to even, 80% of the vision would be like a big whew, because we're still on the road, and that's completely expected in the first year of whatever. I mean, the only way that it would not have been this way is if we spent a whole year before we even started really working on the nitty-gritty of it, knowing it was going to happen. Most people don't do that, and that's not something that, like, really what happened with us is that we kicked around a lot of ideas about it before we ever looked at any place, and this place being available was a thing that sort of pushed it forward. Yeah. And now, I mean, though, that might not have been the most important part of it.
Right. But yeah, it was at the time. Like, it was the decision maker.
It was, but now looking backwards, it's like, well, actually, like, there isn't another facility like this, and it doesn't have to. Our history here
is cool.
Yeah. It's not the most critical component of it, and we probably overvalued that in our minds.
Maybe
because it doesn't even feel like the same place to me most of the time. Like, I'll every once in a while I'll catch an angle and I'll go, I remember, but no.
Yeah, I don't disagree by any means. Yeah, and I think that like not secret, but like something maybe people don't think about is like branding or whatever. That's like that never stops. Like you said, like we're 80%, but then even like that last 20%, like that's what it is, because what is it really? It's storytelling. And so like that's obviously what we try to do in the clothing, and that's what we try to do on the podcast, and that's what we try to do when we interact with every single person that walks through the door. And like that's kind of the ever going factor of a brand or branding or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And so that might be hard for people too.
No, I think so too. Yeah. I don't think that you can look at anybody else's easy and expect that to be your easy.
Yeah.
I don't think that you can look at anybody else's hard and expect it to be your hard.
Yeah, it's situational, and it's based on your skills, and it's based on circumstances, right? Like, what was the hardest thing? Like, I guess, like, the elephant in the room was, like, overcoming the COVID stuff. Like, sure, but was that really hard? You know, like, it wasn't easy, but it wasn't, like, some days things felt dead in the water, but nothing was ever dead in the water.
Right.
And again, if you show up, nothing's ever dead in the water, because there's always something to do. Yeah. There's always something to do.
For sure. That's for sure. Should we tackle one of the things on this list where
if you want. We don't have to. It's up to you.
It's getting quiet for a second here.
My buddy Matt's watching, and he just texted me.
What did he say?
Hey, how's the gym going? Yeah, makes me want to kill him.
Smart ass.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's going great, fuckhead.
Yeah. I guess the one here that we could just throw out here, because I just feel fairly comfortable about it. Lifting and keto. No, don't. Why would you do that?
Yeah, I think if you're trying to optimize your lifting, keto's probably not the optimal nutritional strategy. If keto makes you feel really good, and feeling really good is more optimal or number one goal to you than your lifting, they can go. But yeah, if you're trying to be the strongest or most jacked or whatever version of yourself, does that make sense? Like, in this priority of what your goal is.
Yeah.
If your goals feel awesome and you have a gluten intolerance and you have some of these things, and keto is what makes you feel the best, then yeah, sure, you can lift weights on keto. You're not going to explode. But if your goal is to be a savage in the gym, look really good, or work towards your best physique, carbs will benefit almost every activity, physical activity.
I think we've talked before about the fact that keto is kind of a strategy and not really not necessarily a lifestyle unless there's a medical reason to do it. But and
even the percentage of that, I think that's what, like,
it gets over.
It just got overthrown everywhere. Like, I'm not carb tolerant. Like, bitch, what? Like, you don't know how many carbs you take in. That's why you're carb intolerant. You're taking in 600 a day. Yeah. No human can do that. That's why you're carb intolerant. Like, I get puffy after I eat cheesecake. You ate a whole cheesecake, ma'am. I would get puffy as well, right? Like, that's just so different. And so, like, and I forgot the number. We should have Lane or someone smart on again. And, like, the calorie intake or the carb, quote-unquote, tolerance, or the difference in someone's calorie intake based on their body weight and age, like, the percentage is like a 5% variance. Where people's like, genetics, this, like, yeah, it's so small. It's not like I'm like 5'9", 220, 225 right now. It's not like someone with my similar build, similar age can handle 5,000 calories and I can handle 2,000. That's just not a thing. Unless it's, again, that top 2% that actually have a metabolic disease or a real disease. Yeah. But on a normal healthy human, which is the majority of us, are quote unquote healthy, the variance is so little. And then that's where this keto thing just plugs in, though, because, like, yeah, you drop a bunch of water weight right away, right? Or like how much meat can you eat?
Yeah, and people lose weight, and so their labs get good for 6 months or so, and then they don't necessarily whatever.
Yeah, and their mental gets better, right? Because they feel like a little less puffy because they have no glycogen or water in their body, which isn't bad. Water weight's not a bad thing. Water weight is a wonderful thing. Having water in your cells is a beautiful thing. That's how you get a pump in the gym. That's how you live.
Have you heard of creatine?
Yeah. Well, that's still like a myth too. Like, creatine, like people I know that, like, no lifting say, like, yeah, creatine makes me puffy. Like, no. Like, yeah, it draws some water into the cells. That's what we want. Yeah, that's energy. That's life.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Sort of kind of a last word on keto. Last appointment I had with my therapist was talking about diet, and he said, yeah, like last year I was doing keto and intermittent fasting and whatever, and I felt great. It's like, okay, then why are you not still doing it?
Right.
Because it sucked. That's why.
Then it's not great.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you don't enjoy it or you can't sustain it,
Yeah.
then it's not great anymore.
Yeah, it's not. It's like, oh yeah, well, yeah, but did you keep doing it?
Yeah.
Could you keep doing it? No.
Well, then it's not great.
Then it's not great.
Yeah, it's not it. Random last side note, someone on Instagram was doing a Q&A. I forgot who it was. And they said, like, how do you eat or how many meals do you eat a day? Because everyone's so used to, like, well, I only eat 2 hours. Like this dude, it was one of the homies. I don't know if it was Saya, but it was, like, one of the homies. And they're like, I know it's going to sound weird. And even to me, it sounded weird hearing, like, a quote-unquote influencer say this. They're like, I eat breakfast, lunch, dinner. And everyone, like, in my head, I'm like, that is weird to hear someone say. Because I don't even eat that. But I haven't eaten that my whole life. It has nothing to do with... Yeah. I never ate breakfast as a kid. I have a sensitive stomach. I was anxious. I didn't go to school without breakfast. Like, not because I wasn't fucking intermittent fasting in 3rd grade. I was just a weird kid. But, like, to have someone say, like, yeah, if you just kind of eat 3 meals. And, like that, we could write a literal book right now on that. And it would have success. If we did, hey, you get 3 meals and no snacks, 50% of our listeners are going to lose weight. They're going to lose weight.
It's the snacks part.
It's that easy, though.
Yeah.
You eat 3 square meals, and the other thing, like, all right, my diet is 3 meals a day. All of them you have no screen on. No screen is allowed. TV, phone, nothing's allowed. You can do some audio if you'd like, music or whatever, and you must sit down to eat. And you eat 3 meals, and I'm not going to, no other rules. 1, I'm going on New York bestsellers. You guys are going to see me on Oprah's new show. 2, with the Prince. I just heard the Prince has a show with Oprah. And then I'm going on it. And then you're going to all lose weight. And they literally will lose weight. And that's more sustainable than half these bullshit diets too. Like, those are basic ass rules.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%.
I feel like a genius now, actually. We should probably delete this from the podcast so no one writes my book.
We're going to hire somebody to write the book, and we're not actually going to give them any input. They're just going to write it.
It's going to be 2 pages long.
Yeah, exactly.
The rules of not being a dumbass. Don't eat like a idiot.
Don't eat like an idiot. I feel like that's a pretty good place to bring it in for a landing, unless you got something else.
That's all I got. 3sb.co. Unlock your June 20th. We may be having a little bit of competition, a little bit of a block party, some food, some apparel sales, some homies up here. More news on that to come. And follow us everywhere. 3rd Street Barbell.
I am at the Jim McD on all the social medias. This show is 50% facts, where percent is a word and 50 is just numbers. And wow, the latest WordPress update really screwed up my ability to update the website. But the last few posts are definitely up there.
And if you made it this far, just share this damn thing. Give us a rating review. Please help us out. Share it on Twitter. Share it on Instagram. We love to see it, and we will repost.
I am not an ego-driven person, but I will tell you that I feel like the episodes that we've done in this calendar year are some of the best I've ever done in any show that I've been involved with. Period. Whether or not they were,
yeah, we're in a good flow.
Yeah, whether or not we were having the same guest that everybody else in the whole frickin' world's having on, or we're having people that we select that we want to talk to. That's the whole bottom line. And we'll talk to you next week with a potentially very interesting guest. Otherwise.